Okay, welcome back to In the Shade, a platform bringing awareness to BIPOC folks that have been murdered or gone missing, and also people of color who have been accused and convicted of committing heinous crimes. I'm Jenny Wilson, and
I'm Isabel Ancella, and this is our 7th episode.
Woohoo!
So we decided to do something different today, and this is actually going to be our first city murder, like Austin City, which is where we live. So
this is dope.
It's really exciting to have some local representation.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a brief overview of what we'll be going over today. Today's case is going to be about Christy Espinosa, whose body was found at 5 a.m. in the morning after Mardi Gras in 2009 because firefighters responded to a grass fire just outside of out of Austin, Texas.
We have a slightly different format today, so I'm kind of down to just like jump straight into the story, like kind of like the crime itself, and then kind of trickle backwards. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, cool. So this story is about a married couple, Martha Hernandez and Kenneth Hernandez. They were partying on the infamous 6th Street, which I kind of feel like 6th Street is similar to like Bourbon Street of New Orleans, right? Like you would say it's a similar vibe.
Stinky.
Yeah, so stinky. Oh my god. I haven't been there in a minute because I'm like too old, but it was very, very stinky from last time I remember. And that's where they met Christy Lynne Espinosa. They made friends and afterwards left in a white Honda Civic, drinking liquor in the car. That's what was told to investigators. This overall summary is like somewhat conflicting just based on some of the articles we've read. It's kind of one of those stories where it's just like messy in general. Mm-hmm. So there's some conflicting information, but kind of like high level is like Christy, who was 21 at the time, her body was found on fire around like 5 a.m. on Wednesday when Austin firefighters responded to a call about a grass fire in a field near the 6,000 block of North Imperial Drive. Her death is being investigated as a homicide. Officials with the Travis County Sheriff's Office have said that she was last seen Wednesday, which is February 25th, 2009, celebrating Mardi Gras at East 6th and Trinity Streets. So, what the fuck happened next?
Yeah, so according to an arrest, tests were done by the Travis County Medical Examiner's Office, and it concluded that gasoline was poured on her.
Oh, shit.
And it was used to ignite her body. And then an autopsy revealed that she actually died before she was set on fire.
What?
And suffered a bruise on the back of her neck.
Wait. Okay. So her cause of death wasn't due to her being set on fire? I'm so confused. What's happening?
Yeah, so Martha Hernandez, who was about 26, 27 at the time, her ID was found a few feet from Espinosa's body, but they couldn't find the woman whose ID they found,
right.
But they actually found her husband, who is Kenneth Hernandez. But when they got in touch with him, he said that he didn't know where she was.
Oh, snap.
And so according to a few articles that we read, allegedly Martha took Christy's ID and replaced it with her own because she wanted people to think that Martha was dead.
What?
And she wanted to kind of like take over Christy's identity.
Oh, snap.
Because according to some family members, she wanted to steal the identity so she could see some of her family in Mexico.
Oh.
But there was like a few arrest warrants out for her, and so she couldn't leave the country.
Oh, snap. That's like really kind of like crazy, you know? Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, that's just crazy.
That's a big like identity scam plot.
Yeah. Like
today, people just do it like over the internet.
I know. I know. Oh my God. The scammer, especially from Houston. Oh my gosh. If I had like a like $1 for every time a Nigerian person called me, and I can say that's fine for us to say because I guess I'm like whatever percent Nigerian, which is. I'm not going to say that because I don't know if it's politically correct, even though I am partially Nigerian. I was going to say, because I'll tell you and we'll probably take it out. It's home of the scammers, and I know this for a fact. But yeah, I'll tell you about a story on like a different day. But that's just kind of like crazy because like now like you can call someone and you can scan them, con them out that way versus like
setting them on fire.
Like legit setting somebody on fire. That is just like so crazy.
That's extreme.
So extreme. But that I don't know. That's just like honestly so crazy to me. How do you not know where your wife is? And if this story doesn't shock you enough, guess what?
What?
I'm happy you asked that. She was arrested on the 8th for something not related to Christy's case. After being arrested in Eagle Pass, Martha Hernandez was questioned by investigators on March 8th and then arrested March 10th for Christy's death. Although she initially denied any knowledge of Christy's like existence and things like that, and Christy's death, she couldn't explain why her ID was near Christy's body, which is like, how do you not like know that? But whatever.
Yeah, she was definitely trying to like play dumb. Or something.
Yeah, right. Because it's just like, how do you not know why your ID that I guess like in her opinion, I'm assuming the ID just like floated in the air and then like landed there.
I mean, maybe her angle was like maybe her ID was stolen and somebody's trying to frame her.
Oh, I can see that.
So
yeah. Yeah, I can.
She was just trying to play dumb. Like, okay. I don't know why my ID is there.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. So Martha decided that she was going to change her story, and because initially she said she didn't know about the death of Christy and like shit like that or whatever, which is like already shady. But so she was just kind of talking about like her and her husband. They decided to have like a night out to themselves. It's Mardi Gras. They wanted to go downtown, get lit. So Martha then said, that her and her husband like ran into this girl named Christy and they all were getting lit, having a great time, and so on. So they decided that like this girl's cool, we're having fun, like let's continue the party. So what happened next was Martha Hernandez said that Christy fell asleep in the car because remind you, they left in a Honda Civic together. Mm-hmm. So they left in the car together, and apparently according to Martha, Christy's in the car. But Christy fell asleep and wouldn't wake up, and then so they thought she was dead. They thought that like she wasn't breathing, so she was dead. So
they just thought she like drank too much.
Yeah, they thought she was like too lit because we've all had embarrassing moments. I know my fair share when I in my early 20s and I got way too lit and like passed out. Like what do they call it? Brownouts and blackouts? Yeah. And like you just get way too lit. So that's what I'm thinking happened to Christy because Christy was only like 21, right? Yeah. Yeah. So she was like in her prime, like early 20s and like just like
the time where you black out.
Yeah, the time where you black out, right? So like I get that, but they just thought she wasn't breathing, so they figured in their minds they were gonna suffocate her. But I guess what I don't get is like why suffocate her? Why not just like drop her off at a hospital or something? You know what I mean?
Martha's story does not make sense.
It doesn't make any sense at all.
Like if you're panicking that someone you just met is like passed out or you think they're dead, like just drop them off at a hospital. Like, don't really kill them.
Exactly.
Don't really make them dead.
Exactly. No, like seriously. It's like the same thing with babies. Like when people give birth and don't necessarily want the children. Remember that old like saying of like just take the baby to like the firehouse? Mm-hmm. It's kind of just like, well, why not just take this girl to the hospital and like and just drop her off? You know what I mean? Yeah. But to suffocate her just seems a little bit like
that's
gruesome.
Extreme.
Yeah. Very extreme.
Well, one of the reasons that Martha gave for why they decided to strangle her is that she said that her husband was afraid that if this were to come out, that somebody died in their presence, that he would lose his job at Capital Pediatric Group. Okay. And so they decided to go to a gas station in Del Valle, which is like East Austin, and they filled up a can with gasoline and then decided that burning Christy's body was the best idea because that just gets rid of the problem, I guess. I don't know. And so they drove out to Imperial Drive and then lit her body on fire and then disposed of their own clothing. And then they just went on their merry way and picked up their son, and that was it, according to Martha.
Wow. Okay. So, but the crazy part is like her and her husband were so not in sync because he has a completely different story.
Yeah.
So his story is about, so based on the court, and then this is like a court recording. So this is like in court, like his recording. Kenneth Hernandez says Martha Hernandez was jealous because he had been dancing with Christy at a 6th Street club. And so as he was driving with Christy, sick in the front seat, which I found like to be interesting because he said sick and didn't say like that she was passed out.
Yeah.
Because remember they said that like they thought that she wasn't breathing, you know? So he's in the front seat. So then so this is again a quote from Kenneth Hernandez. He said, "I looked over and Martha was trying to hurt her." He says in the recording, "I said, 'What are you trying to do?' She said, 'Shut up and fucking drive.' Kenneth said, 'Okay.' But when he was first questioned at his sister's house, he said that while they were downtown, Christy was flirting with him, which made his wife jealous." So, like, now we have two different stories, right?
Yeah. So Martha is saying she passed out, and then her husband is saying Martha was jealous of her and then strangled her or hurt her.
Yeah. Like, this whole case was just like a mess to begin with.
Also, how messed up that he's like throwing his wife under the bus.
I know. But then, the crazy part, though, it's like, so he first throws her under the bus, but then he, like, tries to protect her by saying, like, towards the end, like, he tries the second story that he had was saying, like, let's see. Oh, well, he was, like, questioned at his sister's house, and then they were downtown flirting with him and, like, all that stuff. But then there was, like, another story, if I remember correctly, what I'm referring to, what we talked about earlier, where he said he didn't know where his wife was when the ID was found. So in like a weird way, he's like protecting her, right? But then like going back to here where we're talking about what he said, he's then throwing her under the bus, which doesn't make any sense. That's weird, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just thought that was like super weird. But anyways.
But then apparently he like changed the story again. He like added more stuff to it. And he told investigators that Martha used like a saran wrap, which was in the car because Martha got like a new tattoo. So you always want to wrap it with saran wrap to protect it. But apparently she used this saran wrap as she was sitting in the back seat and Christy was sitting in the front seat.
Okay.
And she used that to kind of like suffocate Christy.
Ah, it's so fucked up.
And so, she obviously like died from suffocation at that point. And then he said that Martha forced him to buy the gasoline, and that at the gas station, apparently he was like mouthing to the gas station camera, like, "Help me" or something. But when the investigators like looked at the cameras, like it didn't really look like that.
Oh, snap.
And then he said that she made him, and then he said that she lit Christy's body on fire, and really just like blaming everything on her.
That's so crazy. Like, what the fuck is going on? So it's kind of like, with him having, like, this, like, his several different versions of the story, Martha was like, hold up. If this man is going to, like, try to screw me over and throw me under the bus, I got a story for y'all, okay? I'm about to, like, switch up and tell you guys what really happened. Mm-hmm. So what did she do?
So she told investigators that they drove around drinking with Espinosa because her husband wanted to have a threesome.
Oh, snap.
So now they're just like throwing each other under the bus.
Oh my God, the story is so messy. It's like a Real Housewife show.
Yeah. But then because Christy was unconscious, Martha then denied the request for the threesome, I guess.
Yeah.
And then her husband apparently became upset and then instead of having a threesome, forced her to suffocate Espinosa with her hands.
Oh my gosh. So it went from like saran wrap to the hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then she said that she ended up letting go and that Kenneth finished the job with his own hands. And then she said that he burned the body.
That's so crazy.
So neither is claiming that they themselves did
like
it.
actually did it, but they're blaming each other.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, this whole thing was a mess from the jump. And so, anyways, so according to prosecutors, say that like Christy fell victim to Kenneth Hernandez and his wife Martha, who had given conflicting stories about the event of the night of the February 24th. The couple was both charged with murder and sentenced to 60 years in prison. So they pretty much like got sentenced to life, right? Like essentially that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, it's a really crazy story, and I guess we'll, again, are never really going to find out what truly happened.
Yeah.
But I guess they're just going to, stay in prison, those two, till death do them part, I guess.
That's just so crazy.
But, yeah, it's a shame about Christy because her family described her as a really hard worker. She was like a waitress at Luby's and sometimes even offered some of her classmates who were a little bit less fortunate.
Yeah.
She offered them her earnings from that job so that they could eat. And, her family member also said that she really wanted to go to college and was working to like save up for that, but she had not yet pursued a degree at the time. And yeah, she was a young Austinite with honestly her whole life ahead of her, but she just met the wrong couple
at the wrong
on
time.
6th Street.
That's so crazy. You know what the crazy part too is like you just said in Austinite, I think like I don't honestly know of a single person that was like born and raised here in Austin. So that's like really like interesting that like she was a legit Austinite and just unfortunately they decided to burn her body. I almost kind of wonder like what was like the thought process, because like any like logical person, like we mentioned, like drop them off at the hospital, like you drop a baby off at the fire station, like those things, like, or just call 911, or things like that. But to like go and intentionally get gasoline to set somebody on fire, like everyone knows like burns don't like, not burns, but like fire doesn't burn bones. So there's always going to be like bones left behind, So that's just what I kind of thought was really interesting. It just like doesn't make any sense. Do you think that there was any like mental illness kind of going on? I just think that these people were like frantic.
I think they probably did not think this through.
Right.
And then afterwards still didn't like confirm with each other like what's going to be our story.
Which is fucked
like,
up because
you should
like,
coordinate.
Yeah, because that is like your husband is like your ride or die. Like, can you imagine, like, for example, like let's say like you and Tony, right? Like you guys are like, we're gonna get on the same page, like, whatever. Not like, oh,
I'm
like
planning that shit out.
I know, like
I have a Kanban board.
You're like, we're like, we got this shit. We're bringing the camping gear, the dogs. We out this bitch. But you're gonna have like a story and like cohesive story.
Yeah.
But like,
I'm writing a whole script.
Yeah, a whole script, and he's gonna like, you guys are gonna memorize it. But to know that you just are kind of like you guys both threw each other. Why did you even get married? Like, it's kind of like, why did you even like? Yeah. It was just kind of like they both didn't trust each other, which is not what you want in like a healthy relationship, right? That I don't know. That part was like so weird because I can't imagine like not having
being able to trust your partner.
Yeah, or not having like the Bonnie to my Clyde or the Clyde to my Bonnie. Like that's like my homie, But I don't know. It just didn't really seem like. It would seem like that they just were like a shit show and a mess. And also, too, the whole story was just like, even when we were doing research, it was just like messy. Because a lot of like he say, she say, when all the other stories I kind of feel like that we've done, there was like it was like boom, 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 chronological order. This one was just kind of like all over the place in a sense because there was just no cohesiveness, which is really like.
Because they did not coordinate.
Yeah, they did not coordinate. And it's like, motherfucker, if we burn this person, we need to be on the same page.
Yeah.
But it's just like sad that they felt like they had to like set her on fire. They suffocated her and then like lit her on fire, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. This story was just, like my day so far, a mess.
Yeah.
I know, you know what I mean? I don't know. But do you have any ending thoughts for the story?
Yeah, it's I don't actually.
I was like, oh yes, tell me more.
Yeah.
No, I'm like, that was so funny. Oh my God. No, that was hilarious. Well, again, this is our 7th episode, and this is, again, like our first time doing our current city murder.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for tuning in and listening. And again, like and subscribe and leave us reviews and let us know your feedback. And like we said, we're definitely going to plan on reading the feedback and reviews on our channel. But we're excited. Thank you again for listening to In the Shade.